Welcome to OurSport. I'm your host, Larry. John, as always, is doing the recording and editing. We're going to talk about the playoff games. We're going to give you guys our playoff preview, and we're going to tell you the keys to victory. We're going to tell you what each of these teams needs to do, the three things they need to do in order to win their playoff game. First, we're going to talk about LSU and Oklahoma. Their game is going to be played in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. What you're going to see here is a graphic that John's going to put up, and for starters, this is just raw statistics. This is where these teams rank nationally among raw offensive statistics. This is not opponent adjusted. This is not tempo adjusted. It gives you a pretty good idea of how these teams have fared offensively throughout the year. After that, John's going to put up a similar board with their defensive statistics. We're going to also do this for Ohio State and Clemson when we get to them. So you guys have a good idea what these teams' strengths and weaknesses are just looking at this chart right here. It's not perfect, but it definitely gives you some good perspective, kind of a 30,000 foot view of what these teams can do. So we'll start with LSU. The first thing LSU has to do to win this game, the first key to victory, Joe Burrow must continue to do what he's done all year. That sounds kind of simplistic, but he's playing at such a high level. His style is different, but I don't think we've seen one person dominate college football, be so efficient and so dominant. I think this is Cam Newton. This is basically, it's not a one-man team, but don't get it wrong. This team would have lost 4 games or more if it wasn't for Burrow. Burrow's playing at such a high level that if you go back and you look at the statistics that John posted for LSU, they've got some deficiencies. It's a little hard to tell. You have to squint. You have to look for it. But if he does not play perfect, which he has all year, they will not win this game. If he goes 16 of 31 instead of 31 for 37, which he's likely to do, they're going to lose this game. Joe Burrow has to continue doing what he's been doing all year. Joe Burrow must be perfect. Key number 2 for LSU, they have to contain Oklahoma wideout CeeDee Lamb. He's made our All-America team, me and John's. He made many others, I'm sure, throughout the country. And the guy is just so skilled at almost everything. He's skilled before the catch, and you look at the damage he can do to your defense after the catch. Now, Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma's head coach and offensive coordinator, he's going to have an answer if you take CeeDee Lamb away. They've got plenty of weapons, and they can move the ball on you and do damage. But CeeDee Lamb is their best skill player, and you have to at least mitigate the damage that their best skill player can do to you. The third key to LSU winning the game, they have to stop Oklahoma quarterback Jalen Hurts in the run game. He's a passing threat, but more than ever before, they have leaned on him. He's a power runner and with some elusiveness, a lot of production, and this is a key to their offense. The dual threat nature of their offense, you have to stop Jalen Hurts running. Yes, you have to make him pass. You have to do that, but you can't have him do both. You can't have him pass and run on you against an LSU defense that is not a top 5, top 3 unit, as you can tell by the stats. And if you watch them this year, they've been leaky. They've been good, but they have been leaky. The good thing is that they have abilities to do a lot of these things we talked about. You have an All-American corner. Well, at least some of us think he's an All-American. They can put on CeeDee Lamb, maybe a couple of them. They can roll a safety over there to help him. You pick your poison doing that. Or you can drop that safety, Grant Delpit maybe, to help stop Jalen Hurts. It's going to be difficult because Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma's head coach, is a very skilled offensive mind, maybe the most skilled offensive mind in college, and he's going to have an answer after all this time to prepare. Now, Oklahoma's key to victory. First of all, you have to steal a possession. They have to get a cheap possession somewhere. They have to fake a punt on 4th and 4 to convert it. They have to recover an onside kick because Joe Burrow is not going to give you a possession. Oklahoma's one of the worst teams in the country in turnover margin. They're one of the worst teams in the country intercepting the ball. And you're playing a quarterback who does not throw interceptions. So if his strength is your weakness, you're not going to get 3 interceptions off Joe Burrow. You have to steal a possession somewhere because LSU can easily get in a shootout with you, and maybe that's what they want to do. So you got to find a way to get something cheap. If the running back fumbles, something like that, you're lucky. Number 2, they have to lean on Jalen Hurts. And I'm not talking about just in the run game or the pass game. I'm talking about overall. When you watch Jalen Hurts, me and John discussed this. Like, who do you trust in this big game? Who do you trust in this big moment? We trust Joe Burrow. There's no doubt he's been great all year. But Jalen Hurts has been clutch for 4 years. He's been in the playoffs every year he's been on a team. And if it weren't for Deshaun Watson, he would have led a come-from-behind drive in the fourth quarter to win the national championship for Alabama when he was there. And you look at all the games, the 28-3 lead that Baylor blew against them. He just comes through in the clutch over and over again. We talked about his composure, how calm he is, a leader. He will keep the team settled. You have to lean on him. And if you do, he can deliver for you. Third thing is, you have to get 7s and not 3s when you're Oklahoma. If LSU has a weakness, they have a few chinks in their armor, they are a little soft when it comes to when you get down in the red zone. They're 60th in the country in allowing touchdowns. Middle of the pack. You have to capitalize on that. You can't get down to the 12, to the 8, to the 3-yard line and settle for 3 points. Even if it means you have to go for it. If that entails taking some risks, you have to do that. Because as good as Jalen Hurts is playing, Burrow is playing at an even more efficient level than he is. This ought to be a great game. Everybody knows it. The Fiesta Bowl, Ohio State and Clemson. So John's going to do the same thing they did for the LSU-Oklahoma game. He's going to put up the statistics here. Here's the raw offensive statistics. Again, not opponent adjusted, not tempo adjusted. You can make of it what you will. People are dogging Clemson's schedule. And then here's the difference between the last game, the Peach Bowl, and this game. Here are the defensive statistics. This looks totally different than defensive statistics for Oklahoma and LSU, who are good defenses. They're not great, they're good. Look at both of these defensive numbers. These teams are so balanced. These teams are good at everything. Running offense, running defense, passing defense, every phase these teams are good at. These teams are mirror images of each other. So, I'm going to say this beforehand. I think whoever wins this game, the Fiesta Bowl, beats the winner of the Peach Bowl. I think the winner of the national championship is the winner of this game. Now, how does each team win the game? Let's start. First of all, Clemson. 3 keys to victory. Number 1, buy in. Dabo Swinney, if you're a Clemson player, he wants you mad. He wants you to play mad. He wants you to say, wait a minute, we're on a 28-game win streak. We kicked Alabama's ass last year. We're fucking 3rd in the country. Are you kidding me? We're 3rd. We've played a weak schedule. Not like everybody else has had a complete murderer's row with 12 games in a row with teams that couldn't beat. We beat everybody on our schedule, and we've dominated most of them. Why are we ranked number 3 in the country? And he might have a point. He might be right about that. So if Clemson buys in and comes out angry, they're going to win this game. I could have 3 keys to victory, but that's number 1. Buy in, come out angry. Let's get to the other 2. Second one, get in the backfield. You have to get in the backfield, and this means affecting J.K. Dobbins, the Ohio State running back, and affecting Justin Fields, the Ohio State quarterback. And you cannot have J.K. Dobbins with a free lane. You cannot have the offensive line for him blocking holes and have him going 5 or 6 or 7 yards before somebody touches him. No, you can't do that. And so you have to get him before he gets going. You have to panic Justin Fields. You have to get him in the backfield and make things difficult on him. Third, and this is easier said than done, you have to block Chase Young, Ohio State's All-American defensive end. He has had some games where he's not been up to the level he was before. He completely dominated against Wisconsin. He was held in check somewhat for a while against Michigan. I'm not sure if it was a layoff from his suspension. The problem is also Ohio State's about 12 deep on the defensive line. You block him, other guys can still get there, but Clemson's got a veteran offensive line. They can handle a lot of these guys. You can't let him beat you. You can't let the guy who's the absolute best player on their whole defense, maybe the best player on any defense in the country, you can't let him get going, get in the groove, start foaming at the mouth, and take over and start wrecking your offense. He has got to be dealt with. Now, the keys for Ohio State to winning this game. Key number 1, handle the stage. Look at those statistics that we put up. These are the same teams. These are the same. Their style's a little different because Ohio State can run the quarterback. Clemson does. Ohio State's just better at it. These are the same teams. They have the same strengths. They have no weaknesses, either of them. They're both loaded with talent. So the difference is Clemson has been here more frequently recently than Ohio State has. They were just here last year, and they're not intimidated by anybody. And they might come out and try to send a message and try to intimidate Ohio State. So if you're Ohio State, you got to handle it. You got to handle that first quarter in a way that Oklahoma absolutely could not last year against Alabama and just got run out of the stadium in the first quarter. That was 28-0. That's their biggest key. The number 2 key. You have to establish the run with your quarterback and your running back. You got to get J.K. Dobbins going in the run, and you have to get Justin Fields going in the run. His injury could be a problem. He was hurt. If he's hurt and can't run the ball, they're going to have some trouble winning this game. You have to establish both of them. He has to set up J.K. Dobbins and vice versa. You can't be able to single in on one of them. You have to diversify the run game that way. It's also going to open up the passing game. Number 3, and this is also difficult, you have to confuse Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence. He is, man, one of the best quarterbacks we've seen, a generational type of talent. Alabama couldn't do it. And a few teams could do it. His arsenal of weapons, you can't give him a clean look. You have to change the read post-snap. You've got to show him a cover 1 and rotate to a cover 2. You got to do this constantly. You got to do it throughout the whole game. You cannot give him the same look pre-snap as you gave him post-snap. Okay, so predictions. Who's going to win these games? I think Clemson is going to beat Ohio State. I think it's going to be a great game. Ohio State did not win every game this year by double digits because they're a terrible team. They're balanced and complete at every position. So is Clemson. I think the difference is a more proven head coach and a more proven quarterback. I'm not knocking Ohio State. I'm not knocking Ryan Day and Justin Fields. I'm just going by history, which is I've already seen Clemson win the national title with this coach. I've already seen them win the national title with this quarterback. And I think they're going to have a dogfight against Ohio State. The second game, also I think is going to be close. Or should be, I should say, the first game chronologically, the LSU-Oklahoma game. I like LSU in this game. I also think this is going to be close. I don't see any way Oklahoma gets blown out with Jalen Hurts at quarterback and Lincoln Riley running up offensive plays. Those two together are too proficient, and I think it could be a similar kind of score to Ohio State-Clemson. So if you look, the first round of the playoffs historically, except for a few games here and there, have been largely irrelevant. They've been almost meaningless. You've seen Michigan State get jackhammered by Alabama. You've seen Clemson beat Ohio State 31-0. You've seen Florida State turn the ball over 17 times with Jameis Winston and lose to Oregon by about 80 points. The first round mostly has been terrible. You almost didn't need a first round of the playoffs. But I don't think that first round is going to be this way for either one of these games. I think this is going to be the best collection of first round games we've seen in the college football playoff era.
Georgia-Oklahoma was good.
Georgia-Oklahoma was the biggest exception. That was one of the best games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's probably the best game of the last 3 years. I know I was forgetting one game. Mm-hmm. Good point.
Overtime, I think, in Mayfield.
Thanks, John. Yep.
Hi, it's John here doing the outro. We'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year coming up this holiday season. If you like what you saw in this video, I know it was a bit short, but we covered a lot of topics. Don't forget to go down and hit the like button down there. If you like our channel and like what we do here and want to see more of our content, click the subscribe button in the bottom and then click the notifications bell to be notified of all our new uploads. Most of the time we post weekly on Sundays, but today we posted a bit later. If you have a team, topic, or conversation that you'd like us to start on OurSport, don't forget to comment it down below and we'll be sure to cover it. And as always, thank you for watching.